Hello my friend, in our previous video we have seen the various materials you need in watercolor. In this particular lesson we will understand the pigments. These are the watercolor pigments, and we want to learn about its characteristics and transparency. So the very first thing you need to know is what is transparency in watercolor, right? Because watercolor is completely different from oil color, which is an opaque or poster color. So this particular medium is having the transparency effect, which is the significant the characteristic in this color. So we'll learn how to understand this pigmentation, right? So the very first thing I would do is I will create one very simple shape here for you to understand it better. So let's say I've just taken this shape, and I'll use any of these color. Let's say I'll just take this blue, okay, and I will just apply it here. Right, like this. We'll learn more about how we can make the various other parameter of watercolor, like what is wet on wet, what is dry and wet. But hold on for now. Before that, before even reaching there, we need to understand this. Okay, so this is the first layer we have applied here with this. Now how would you know that what is the transparency of it, right? The very first thing you'll see here, the moment I've just taken the color and applied it here, still you see the underneath, the whiteness of the color which we have applied it here, still visible. Can you see that? Can you just feel that? Even when it's get dry, you'll feel the softness of this color, and that's the beauty of this, and that becomes more like a transparent effect. Now this layer, you'll not even realize that, okay, where is the transparency? But as much as when you'll get to know, when you'll become a little expert, you will understand, okay, what transparency I'm talking about. The transparency I'm getting here as a white paper also here. I can see that whiteness into it, okay? But that is the one point. But that's the more important part, is when you are applying the second or third layer, and there actually you're getting the transparency. So wait a minute, let me just try this and I'll explain you how to approach this. Okay, so what I did is I just dried this with my dryer, and this becomes a more important for you to understand that whenever you are trying to get a transparency in watercolor, you need to dry it. That is also called glazing. You need to dry this, and then moment I'll apply the second, the brush strokes, you will see the transparency. You can feel you can just see that the first layer which we have applied here still visible. Okay, so now this is the this can be done only when you are drying it. It's just like a kind of a dry technique, like a wet on dry. So now I'm going to take the same color here, okay, and this time I'm using same color here with the same amount of water, and I apply here the brush strokes again. Okay, so now you see here I will make probably one big line here, kind of. Okay, now doing this, can you see the effect here which we are getting at this moment? So we got a lighter pigment, and the moment we just applied the second wash here, the second strokes, brush strokes, you see there what you have, this becomes a little more pigmented, this becomes more contrast. This becomes contrast because it has taken the underneath this color, and that helped this particular color to pop out. And it also has, if I would have used some other color, which I'll explain you just after that, you can see the color or any objects it is there. You can just see that, you can clearly see that, okay, what it is there. But I'm just taking a very basic perspective, a basic understanding of the layering, which you will understand the basic of the transparency. Okay, so now you can just see that this color you can just see from here. Okay, now the thing is, there is one more layer required, because the watercolor always works with the 3 layer. Okay, so this is your first layer and you have just applied here, and then we need to dry this. Okay, let it dry. Okay, now see, both the color is completely dried, this is also dried, and there you see the transparency. Okay, now I will apply the another layer. This will be a slightly more darker than this, then only you will realize that and you'll get that exact the understanding that how much pigment you should have, what is the contrast, the volume of color you should have to get this pigment properly, right? So now I'll apply the 3rd layer top of it. Okay, so now let's make this as 3rd layer, which is slightly darker pigment compared to the second one. Okay, and now we got this. Okay, now you see this color, this color, this color. This is basically the pigmentation of your watercolor. Okay, this is going to be lighter, this is going to even more slightly darker, and then this becomes a more contrast here. Okay, but this currently we can't see the other color because we have used only one color here, so you can't see the real differentiator of its transparency. But now I'll tell you how to get that transparency also, how you can just see and enjoy the transparency. This is the very basic things I was explaining you. Now let's work on the same thing here as well. Okay, so I'll create one shape, and now I will use the same color here. Now this is where you will see the real difference, the real with value of watercolor and its transparency. Now for this I will also use, I'll use probably this burnt sienna. Okay, so let's say I have used here in this burnt sienna, and I just mixed it here. Now I also use a bit of vermilion red. Okay, so now I'm just using this vermilion red here. Alright, now we got 2 or 3 color here mixed each other. Now we can just see the difference basically. If you want some bit of more color here and there, that also we can use it here. Okay, let it be. So we need to dry this. Okay, the same thing what we have done is, because the drying your work is important to get the transparency. Let it dry. Okay, so now it's dried, and now we can make the another layer on top of it. So I've just taken the same color here, the ultramarine blue, and I will make some patch, something like this. So let's say I'll just take a little more color, and I'll just make some patches here and there, something like this. All right, so now this is the time when you can really see the beauty of watercolor. You can see the inside the color. Can you just feel that? Okay, this is the real value of watercolor and the beauty of transparency. Whatever the color we have just given underneath as a first layer, that color is visible here. The moment I've just applied the color here on top, the patch we have just made it here, you can just see the difference. They see the color here and see the color here, because the color which has this looks so contrast, because we have used the blue, the same color here, and we have just made the another layer on top of it, so it becomes so contrast. But we have this place where we have kind of a red and the the burnt sienna, and we have applied this color. This becomes a little faded, but the reason it's looking so little faded, because it also the underneath the layer, that is also trying to pop out. It's bringing its transparency, so it's not a one color, it's showing the underneath color as well. Same here also, same thing here also, and that becomes so important. Now you'll be asking, okay, so how about the third layer if I'll just apply it? So that's the beautiful thing, and that's the beauty of watercolor, by the way. Now we'll again let it dry and then apply the third layer, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so now it's dried. Now let's take other color again. I'm using the ultramarine blue, and I'm trying to make this time. I'll also add another color here also, so we'll have a better pigmentation. Okay, so I've used this color, and now see what happens with the moment I'm applying the third layer, something like this. I'll just make something like this. Okay, I'll just, here we have the shades, right? I mean the strokes we have. Now we'll apply the another strokes here. Now see, I'll apply the one stroke here, see, like this. Okay, I'll take another color, I mean this, like this, like this. Now the moment I've done this, can you see that your first layer, the second layer, and the third layer? That's the beauty. That's the beauty you should be looking at. And this is all about the transparency of watercolor. Okay, the moment you'll get this, you'll reach to this level, you will nail it, I'll tell you, because you have applied here the lighter pigment, and then little darker, and then we have just taken more darker pigments here. This is how basically it works. Can you see the beauty of it? It's transparency. I can still see the underneath the first layer. Can you see that? These are the beautiful moment in watercolor. Okay, now let's let me just make this in another way. Okay, so I'll just use this color, and I'll make outline here. Let's say I'll make an outline something like this. Let's say 1 brush strokes. I will take the another one. Where are you going? Let's say I've just taken the another. This is the classic example basically that will give you a complete idea of watercolor transparency. I'll just use this yellow ochre. Okay, so we'll use it here, yellow ochre. Now let's take any other color. We'll take a green color here. This is not an exact green, this is a gray green, which is from the Missing Gold. We'll talk more about the color in later session. So this is another one. Okay, now again the principle is same. Let it dry. Okay, this is dried. Now we can just take the same color here and see what happens. I'm using this color, and I am just applying the same method here what we did this side. I'll apply this shade. Okay, so now see. Can you see the beauty of it? You can just see the color underneath. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Let's take another color. I'll use this green color, gray green, and I'll apply it here, this side. Alright, now we'll use we can use this red color, and we'll apply the same way here. Look at that. Now possibly we can use this yellow. Now see what happens. See, this is what I was just talking about. See the beauty of the transparency. Whichever the color you see here, which is actually the similar color family, or cool color family, or the cool and the various other warm color as well. So warm color, when it meets warm to warm, it becomes so prominent and very, very striking. When it becomes cool to warm, then that becomes different color pigmentation. This is what we should be knowing. This is what we should be practicing when you are, especially when you're looking to enhance your watercolor in the next level. And you should be making a lot of work, something like this. You see, we had just applied some of the patches here, and then we also talked about how you can just make it in a very simple format, how you can just understand its pigmentation, and the transparency, what you see here, and you can just see much better way the transparency of this here. Okay, so this is what the watercolor pigment and the transparency is all about in watercolor. So whenever it comes in your mind that what is transparency, refer to this. Transparency is this, watercolor transparency is this, and you should be well versed with, practice something like this, and you'll see things will taking shape by itself. Okay, so that's the this is what actually I wanted to communicate with you in this session, because when we move in a further lesson, we will understand this, we will apply, when we paint, we'll bring a lot of these theory into our artwork, so that becomes very familiar. Familiarity should be there in your head when you paint. So I hope you enjoy this,